Please be seated. Proceedings are resumed. The Honorable Minister of Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure, continuing with his statement.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, as I had previously stated in this Honourable House, the government through the ministry is also providing additional grants to the Cayman Islands Agriculture Society. We have increased our grant funding to the Society for the employment of 2 more staff members to provide a greater assistance to the farming community. Again, Mr. Speaker, when the previous government has the audacity to say we aren't doing anything to help our farmers, they need to stay out of that place they call Alice in Wonderland. Mr. Speaker, the government has also provided funding in the amount of $350,000 for the importation of the livestock, primarily cattle and goats, to our island. This is keeping with the efforts to improve our quality of livestock in the Cayman Islands. A total of 92 cattle have already been imported from the United States, with a batch of 47 scheduled to arrive this month. In addition, approximately 247 goats have been purchased from Bluff Farms in Cayman Brac and have been made available for sale to farmers at a reduced price. Mr. Speaker, to coincide with the importation of cattle from overseas, in May, the ministry rolled out a national livestock identification tracking system. This system tracks livestock and includes information on the end and ownership and the geographic location. All information collected is stored electronically under control of the Department of Agriculture. I am pleased to report, Mr. Speaker, that 173 livestock have been tagged to date, 125 cattle and 48 goats. Visual ear tags have been affixed to each animal with plans in place for the animal passport containing the same identification number as that of the ear tag to be issued to the owners. This national livestock identification and livestock system will bring the Cayman Islands in line with the international standards in the farm to consumer supply chain that is trackable. Mr. Speaker, just by doing that, well, hopefully that nobody cattle will ever go missing again during Christmas time or any other time. But, Mr. Speaker, it is anticipated that in the future, when the tracking system is fully implemented, livestock in all 3 islands will be equipped with electronic identification tags so that the movement of these animals, whether by sale or disposal of other means, will be monitored. So, Speaker, another practical step that I've taken in support of our farming sector is the acquisition of the excavator to clear the farmlands. When I had various meetings with the farmers, they informed me that they have been asking for this piece of equipment for over 20 years. Today, we can tell our farmers that the excavator is finally here. Once again, the Park government has listened and delivered on the promise to the farmers. The new excavator, valued over $350,000, will provide a well-needed service in terms of land preparation program delivered through the Department of Agriculture. The equipment, which comes with a Class A4 heavy-duty hammer and a bucket, will assist farmers in making their land more usable for farming. Mr. Speaker, I mentioned in the Honorable House before that credit must also be given to the Honorable Ms. Juliana O'Connor Conley for not just kicking the can down the road, but getting the business case started for this equipment to get purchased. And Ms. Julia, on behalf of the farmers, again, I want to say thank you for your efforts for getting this done. Member from Camp Rockies, thank you. And there is more to come, Mr. Speaker. The ministry and the government is now in the process of purchasing a truck to provide a delivery service to the farming community for large volume of agriculture supplies purchased at the Department of Agriculture Commercial Center. I cannot emphasize it enough. We have to provide support and make sure we take care of our farming community. Mr. Speaker, working to ensure that our islands will have adequate and accessible local food supply for generations to come is an important priority for the ministry and the PAC government. It is within the mind that we continue to focus on the National Egg Strategy. A national certification license standard has been completed to certify all egg farmers and farmers. The aim to enhance the market access for our egg producers by improving food safety. The ministry has also started the procurement process for equipment to assist farmers so that they can meet their certifications and requirements. We have recruited a well-experienced poultry expert who will be working with the poultry farmers to meet the certification standards. Mr. Speaker, the cattle breeding program, the ministry acquired and inputs are necessary to lead more animals being bred by artificial insemination. We have also brought 3 bulls to provide breeding service to the local cows. These bulls will serve as an enhancement both for artificial insemination and the embryo transfer. Mr. Speaker, first time in Cayman history that we will be able to do an embryo transfer, improving our livestock genetics here in Cayman. Mr. Speaker, I just want to mention that through our bilateral talks with our counterparts in Jamaica, we made agreements with Hypro, a division of Jamaica Broilers Limited, and leader in the region of livestock production medicine, for them to undertake a full assessment of the local livestock program. The aim is for us to receive recommendations to modernize our livestock sector, as well as technical support to benefit our farmers. An immediate win, Mr. Speaker, is that 6 of our Caymanian vets and clinical staff will receive further training before the end of this year in the area of artificial insemination and embryo transfer technology and practice. Training of upskilling Caymanians to support the department's livestock genetic improvement program is an important part of the government plans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Cayman Black Stud Bull program. We are introducing the program in the Cayman Black as a way to assist the farmers to improve the genetic quality of their cattle. The Department of Agriculture has been working closely with the Public Works Department to construct a holding and breeding facility for the stud bull, which is expected to arrive in short order. Once on island, farmers will be able to make arrangements to bring their cows to the facility to be serviced. This strategy is expected to increase the herd quality and size by at least 50% in the next 3 years. Our National School Garden Program. For our islands to have successful future in agriculture, we have to involve our youth, Mr. Speaker. In light of this, Cabinet has approved $30,000 to support a school garden program in all our public primary high schools. Under this program, it is anticipated that we will expose 200 students to agriculture. It is important we show our young people that farming can be rewarding, a rewarding career, as well as highlighted as the important role of agriculture on a local global scale. The Cayman Islands Agriculture Business Information System. This includes the development of a platform to collect and store, display key agriculture data to provide real-time information on the agriculture sector to assist in the policy development, budget building, among other things. Mr. Speaker, this system was launched. I am pleased to note that the data have been collected for approximately 471 farmers on Grand Cayman and on 113 in the sister islands. Progress, Mr. Speaker. We are making progress in strengthening and modernization of the agriculture sector. Mr. Speaker, our policy team and legislative drafters are preparing the necessary documents to support the legal and regulatory framework for the development and the modernization of our agriculture sector. These include our agriculture land lease policy. The first draft of the policy, which aims to provide Crown land to the farming community at an affordable cost, will be ready by next month. Matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, I was just told today that the first draft of that is actually ready to go to Cabinet very shortly now this week here. Mr. Speaker, do you know we are talking about a land that was purchased almost 20 years ago for the same thing we are talking about right now? Mr. Speaker, and the opposition sitting down there saying that we aren't doing anything is a hard word to say, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, anyhow, let's move on from the politics. Cayman Islands Food and Nutrition Security Policy. Our draft policy is complete, and consultation and meetings have been scheduled for October and November in all districts across Grand Cayman, as well as the sister islands. Mr. Speaker, we have reached out to many colleagues, members of Parliament, with respective dates for the meetings in their constituencies, and we are expecting their full support. Additionally, the schedule of meetings will be widely shared with the general public so we can have their input in this very important document. It is anticipated that the policy document will be finalized and presented to the Cabinet by the first quarter of 2023. In addition, Mr. Speaker, both the animal and plant protection law are being revised. While instructions have been given for the drafting of the pesticide control and the agriculture bill, which are being prepared, the ministry targeted is to these bills before the Parliament by the end of the fiscal year 22-23. Turning to another area that is a major priority for me and the government, the provision of quality, affordable housing solution for fellow Caymanians. Mr. Speaker, our government is committed to empowering the National Housing Development Trust to increase the number of houses across the districts. Since my last presentation made to this Honorable House, much progress has been made in this area. Mr. Speaker, the NHDT has completed 7 homes in East End, 3 in Bordentown, And the trust is now in the process of having these houses assigned to homeowners who have been waiting on this opportunity. As it relates to the Northside housing development, Mr. Speaker, work is progressing well at the 12-acre site where we broke ground for 45 housing lots in December. The subdivision plan was approved early this year, and the trust is now concentrating in the installation of the water pipeline and the road infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, we know that the slowest part of our development is the infrastructure. Once that is done, building the homes isn't the problem. Mr. Speaker, I'm also pleased to share that the honorable members that we will shortly break ground for phase 3 of the Lighthouse Garden development in West Bay. The groundbreaking was delayed due to the island's recent period of national mourning. Phase 3 will fully complete the 9.5-acre property that currently has 36 affordable housing for our Caymanian people. Unlike previous administrations, Mr. Speaker, where affordable homes were built with cheap materials, the team at the NHTT have assured me that the new house models are being built with better quality materials and infrastructure. Some are also slightly a little bit bigger than the affordable homes built under the previous administration. Further, Mr. Speaker, the plan is to make those affordable housing energy efficient and equip them with amenities that will contribute to their overall value. We take this approach, Mr. Speaker, because we are not just building homes, we are building communities where the people can be proud to thrive and live in. Mr. Speaker, aligned with the goal to make home ownership more affordable, we're also taking steps with the rest of the PAC team, including my colleagues, the Minister of Finance, Chris Saunders, to make these homes more accessible. On the affordability front, the people-driven PAC government realized that many of our Caymanians are earning less than $3,000 per month. According to the data from the recent census, Mr. Speaker, we cannot qualify, or those people cannot qualify or afford to borrow at the high lending rates at some financial institutions. To assist with this, the NHTT board approved an interest rate adjustment to match prime lending rates for 17 tenants in the lease program. The interest rate adjustment will also be applied retroactively.
Mr. Minister, when you say to lease, are we talking about, just for sake of clarity, lease to own program?
The lease to own program, sir.
Thank you.
And this is a measure that will greatly assist 17 tenants in East End and Windsor Park and West Bay Lighthouse Garden location that were still in that lease to own program. All of these existing tenants who will receive the benefit of the interest rates and the retroactive adjustment are over the age of 55 years. And keeping with the government's policy to strengthening the support of older persons, the decision was also taken to waive their closing fees, including the administrative fees and the evaluation costs. Mr. Speaker, we are doing this simply because, Mr. Speaker, we have to help the burden that are placed on our senior citizens who have worked hard, made contributions to this country, and who have therefore deserve to live in dignity and not under this consent of worrying of high fees and a high cost of living. The question is, Mr. Speaker, is why did the previous administration did not take these steps, which would have been simpler to implement when the country was in a good financial condition under their leadership? And Mr. Speaker, the first thing a lot of them would say is that, oh, well, you got to blame the minister. It can't be the minister. It has to be a supporter of the government. If you don't have a supporter of the government, he can't get things done. So I just want them to clarify that before they go and say with the minister at that time. Mr. Speaker, our Park government will continue to focus its attention on providing these opportunities during this term in office. I have instructed my ministry and staff on the NHTT board to be proactive and review the entities with a view to making the program even more beneficial to our people. The Government Guaranteed Home Assistance Program is a priority area that we will provide additional support. The NHTT continues to administer the existing clients under the program and provide the administration for new applications from the proposed new agreement. This will assist approximately 200 families based on the headcount from the existing program. There is an ongoing and continued demand for this level of assistance on our plan to reinstate this program. Mr. Speaker, concerning building on your own property construction, the NHC continues to assist applicants under this program to construct their own houses in collaboration with the local banks. There are currently 4 applicants waiting to be considered, while 2 have been pre-approved and seeking approval for their respective banks for the bridge financing. While the NHC continues to concentrate its efforts on building on vacant land at the affordable housing sites in Northside, Eastern, and West Bay, it has been tasked to replicate these efforts in Georgetown by seeking new land to support housing development plans in this area. Mr. Speaker, I just want to let the people know too that not only does the Georgetown area that we're seeking also, but we're actually looking into the Apple Blossom site of having that go through the planning stages right now so that we can actually get homes started there, hopefully, God's willing, before the end of this year, if not in the first quarter of next year. Mr. Speaker, like my colleagues, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Chris Saunders, always says, it takes cash to care. And the Park government has shown they care by making $15 million available through the Cayman Islands Development Bank to Caymanian mortgage seekers at an interest rate as low as 3.75. Now, Mr. Speaker, if the previous administration cared so much about the people, as they are saying now, why didn't it occur to them during the administration that it was actually necessary to go beyond the talks of how much they care and do what the Park government has done in making available options with the Caymanian Development Bank? These are challenging times, Mr. Speaker. Many Caymanians can't qualify at the high lending rates at some institutions, and as a result, are losing out on the chances to pursue their dream of home ownership. Mr. Speaker, every Caymanian has the right to home ownership in this country. This is why our government has been working so hard in making home ownership a reality for Caymanians. Not just talking about it, Mr. Speaker, like our friends across the hall over there, that or was over there. But we are doing something about it. Mr. Speaker, to show you all our teams are linked, our efforts and are focusing on the same big picture. When we decided to build these homes, we took input from our colleagues about how we can not only have strong, well-built structures, but are sustainable and efficient as well. We did this, Mr. Speaker, because we wanted to remain in line with the spirit of the national energy policy, Mr. Speaker. They forgot about the people from 2007 to 2012. They had over 300 people that could have benefited from the GGHAM program. For those that don't know what the GGHAM is, it was the Government Home Assistance Program mortgage. Guaranteed. Mr. Speaker, 116 homes from 2010 to 2020 was built. But yet the opposition want to say they have a vision for the people. They can lead the country better than the Park government. 116 homes from 2010 to 2020. Mr. Speaker, that was during your time, sir. Or was it in your time? Yeah, that was the start of your time, sir. They should be ashamed of themselves, sir, who the governing for. Yes. Mr. Speaker, under their watch, they gave away or waived over $14.5 million in planning fees from 2013 to 2019. Mr. Speaker, I could have built 80 more affordable homes. This could have gotten us the east-west halfway bottom town. This could have had free lunches for the kids. Where were their priorities? This brings us to Facility Management Department. Mr. Speaker, one of the major projects that the department is currently undertaking is the installation of a 100 kW carport mounted solar array, which is 90% near completion at the government administration building. By doing this, Mr. Speaker, the Park government is doing the part of reduce of the resilience of the fossil fuels and harness the clean energy of solar. Mr. Speaker, in saying this, I am reminded of one of the first bills I saw upon taking office. Mr. Speaker, I was blown away by the amount of the electricity bill, which was substantial amount at that time. Mr. Speaker, it was in that very moment of time I knew something had to be done. Mr. Speaker, my main concern wasn't that the bill was a high government expenditure, but that it was ultimately a burden for our taxpayers. The hurricane-rated solar array therefore features some 276 panels, which will generate savings in energy costs and lessen the burden on the taxpayers. Also, this solar initiative is expected to be connected to the Caribbean Utility Company power grid and participate in the core program. Again, Mr. Speaker, this type of execution that requires foresight and the fact that this was not done under previous administration speaks volumes about their lack of foresight. Mr. Speaker, there's a lot more that I could say about this topic, however. Instead, I wish to acknowledge the hard work of the Honorable Premier Pantan, along with the Ministry of Sustainability, as they provide input and support for this project. Mr. Speaker, our efforts to implement renewable energy at the Government Administration Building supports the overall objective of the National Energy Policy and compliance and ongoing initiative to enhance the energy efficiency to the public sector's building. This year, the department has also completed a number of projects at the civic centers across Grand Cayman, which will make the buildings more accommodating while increasing efficiency. At the Northside Civic Center, the painting, the flooring, the ceiling, the stage have been completed. Installation of electrical vehicle car charging station has also been completed, and some fence replacement has still in the progress. At the Eastern Civic Center, also the floor and the ceiling and AC units, staging, ducting have been completed. Installation of an EV car charging station and a peeling of both are completed. Work continues on the bathroom renovation, and the roof repairs are about to commence. At the Gun Bay Civic Center, the facility has been equipped with new appliances, chairs, tables, with LED lighting upgrade, the entry door replacement. The basketball court has been resurfaced, and new basketball hoops have been installed. At the Constitution Hall, the procurement is in the progress for the replacement of flooring, stage upgrades to the ceiling, lighting, bathroom, and creating a small kitchenette. Both the bathroom and stage will be disability compliance. At the South Sound Community Center, works will begin on the roof repairs, window replacement, the flooring, the bathroom upgrades, and a general facelift. When all of these works are completed, Mr. Speaker, these centers will be more resilient. The PAC government will have achieved working as a team in less than 3 years in office, when the same was not achieved during previous administration of 9 years or more in office. So, Mr. Speaker, for the financial year of 22-23, it is anticipated that all civic centers will be equipped with video and audio equipment, interior upgrades, automated security lighting, and security alarms and camera systems. This will enhance the safety and the usage of the center by our people. Mr. Speaker, moving now to the Department of Vehicle and Driver's License. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to inform the members of this Honorable House that DVDL, with the support of Public Works Department, have completed the fit-out of the new license office located at the Jake Scott's Plaza in West Bay. It is expected, Mr. Speaker, that a new office will officially open this month. It will include some 1,300 square feet of space, a public restroom facility, and increasing the seating capacity for the customers. In addition to improvements in space capacity, the number of licensed officers at the location will be increased from 2 to 4 people. Mr. Speaker, we are considering improvements at the Crew Road location that could lead to an increase of customer service windows, and again, an overall efficiency. As with DVDL, there are some expansions taking place at the Department of Vehicle and Equipment Services. The priority projects of the financial year is the completion of Phase 2 of the Department's redevelopment project. Mr. Speaker, we are making these expansions not for the expansion's sake, but for improving the environment where our people are served, including making their experience better when services are being delivered to them. Good service, Mr. Speaker, that part is priceless. Mr. Speaker, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Phase 2 of the project faced logistical challenges when sourcing materials. This has caused some delays and set the completion date back to the end of 2022. Phase 2 of the redevelopment plan involves the construction and upgrade of a state-of-the-art 19-service bay facility capable of servicing and maintaining the various vehicles and equipment owned by the government. These range from light-duty to heavy-duty vehicles and equipment. Upon construction completion, the total floor space at DVS will be 34,025 square feet. It is anticipated that this expansion will lead to a better turnabout in repair times and increase the working stability for large vehicles and minimize the employee exposure to the elements. Mr. Speaker, the new facility will also ensure that this government is in the position to support the innovation of new technology and the national energy policy as we expand our fleet of hybrid and electric vehicles. Mr. Speaker, I will now draw my attention to updates from the Department of Planning. For the second quarter of 2022, there was 559 permits issued, estimated a value of over $428 million. 487 projects approved, valued over $470 million. 227 certificates of occupancy issued, valued over $137 million. 6,693 inspections and 4,157 plan reviews completed. I would like to thank all of my team members in the Department of Planning for all their hard work in servicing and demands on the development industry. The numbers speak for itself, sir. However, we recognize the demand for service and will be diligently working on employ additional staff in all areas. Mr. Speaker, this has been a challenge. We have seen the demand for such expertise worldwide and have therefore developed a two-pronged strategy to enable the success. We are looking to work with our overseas counterparts in the United States to source personnel. In addition, we are working with our local schools, including the Public Works Department Apprenticeship Training Program, to train our young talent to fill the long-term demand. Mr. Speaker, turning to the Public Works Department, my ministry continues to invest in the future of young Caymanians. Through the successful delivery of Public Works Department Apprenticeship Program, a few weeks ago, I was very happy to attend and participate in the grand opening of a simulation lab located at the PWD's compound. The lab will provide the apprentices with the relevant training to a one-day impact of workforce in a positive way. Mr. Speaker, some of our workshop simulators that are in lab include electrical fabrication learning system, alternate energy learning system, industrial fluid piping system, air conditioning and heat pumping troubleshooting system. These will assist to immerse the trainers in real-world scenarios so they can be better prepared in the world of work. Mr. Speaker, I was very impressed by the fact that the building that contains the simulation lab was renovated by the students themselves. This shows the capability of the students enrolled in the construction trade programs and contributed they will make to the development of our islands. I want to encourage the 22 apprentices who recently enrolled in the apprenticeship training program. Mr. Speaker, to say the course, the strive of excellence, and takes up their rightful place in the industry. Mr. Speaker, with few local qualified job applicants to perform some specialized roles within the public and private sector, it is important that we redevelop and mentor our Caymanian workforce to be employable. Mr. Speaker, the Public Works Department continues to oversee a number of ongoing projects, including the Bordentown Church of God Shelter, the Department of Agriculture Feed Storage Extension, Bordentown Primary School Multipurpose Hall, the Phase 2 of the DVS Redevelopment Project, the Old Man Bay Dock, and the various community and sporting facility upgrades, 2 community parks in the West Bay, which I think one of my colleagues spoke about earlier. Mr. Speaker, one project that is close to my heart is that Old Man Bay and the community park. For too long, the Northside community had been promised this community area, and the park, which is now in the planning permission, will be offered the amenities such as the restroom facilities, cabanas, a basketball and a volleyball court. In addition, we are about to commence the new jetty for the area with sufficient parking for the boaters. Mr. Speaker, the Cayman Public Beach in Northside has been eroding away for decades. Did the previous government do anything to fix it? No, again, the park government has come behind and cleaned up the mess they neglected for years. The Ministry of PIE is working alongside the DOE and has found a solution to the beach and should be starting works next year. Mr. Speaker, I will move on to another very important agency that has responsibility, for which I mentioned briefly before, namely the National Roads Authority. First I want to just go back to thank the NRA team for their diligent work in the case of the hurricane preparedness. And the NRA team worked together and the various agencies that planned for each tropical storm and hurricane. This includes hurricane preparedness exercise between NRA, Public Works Department, along with the other government agencies and private partners. By preparing long before storms, the NRA remains ready on an ongoing basis to act on the immediate priorities after the storm, which is clearing of all major roads, debris to allow safe passage for emergency vehicles and others who may otherwise have been trapped in the aftermath of a storm. And because of the NRA's work to clear drains on a schedule for which the NRA published on a website and cleans the drains in a flood-prone area prior to storms, their work tends to mitigate against the flooding, especially in the flood-prone areas, as I spoke about a little bit earlier. As I said, through the drains are not only the solution to the flooding, but we will continue to work to the overall stormwater management framework to explore the additional work. They were also quick to react to the Savannah Gully issue, which they reported to the media to highlight to the public for the serious concerns about the flooding, including the fact that it was salt water that is flooding the roadways and the neighborhoods close to Savannah, to the Savannah Gully. Mr. Speaker, I could sit here and I could talk pretty much all day on NRA on the good stuff that they have been doing, but I'll save some of that for another time. Mr. Speaker, moving on from the NRA hurricane efforts, but I can't just help myself sometime. I would like to give up a progress report on the Airport Connector Road. The base fill elevation was completed to an average of plus 2.5 above sea level. The culvert installation work is completed ahead of schedule, and the remaining base work and finished layers of the segment of the road, including the construction of the second roundabout by Alibi Drive, will also recommence this month. Phase 2 of the Linford Pearson Highway. The expansion is well underway with the base works, drain wells, water mains, and other utilities installations. Over the next 2 months, works will include information from the new expanded roundabout, as well as clearing and filling of the route all the way to Outpost Street. Mr. Speaker, much work has been done throughout a lot of our districts. And for me to list all of them here today would probably take another 30 minutes. But I'll list just some of the work that you yourself may have known. So much work has been redesigned into the entrance of the Watercourse Road from the northwest road in your area, sir. Mr. Speaker, Caribbean Utilities Company plans to begin installation on the underground and electrical service this month. This project continues to be on track to be completed in January 2023. The Godfrey-Nixon extension, work on that phase 1 of Godfrey-Nixon extension has recommenced, with the curb work being installed. The next phase will be the final grading in order for the road to be surfaced. Phase 1 of that project will take the road from North Church Street across the Diaz Lane and then to Gresco Lane. Crew Road and Hurler Marion Boulevard. This project involves full lane capacity upgrades of the highway between King's Sports Center and Admiral's Landing development. This will be fully upgraded to include the 3 lanes westbound, including a bicycle lane and the road shoulders. The segment between Grand Harbor and Raid Bay Roundabout is now 90% completed. NRA focus is now on widening both sides or the corridor between Grand Harbor and the CUC Roundabout. In addition, we are looking to finalize the gazettal of the local access road. With Grand Harbor being such an important junction, the NRA has also engaged a consultant to complete a traffic study to provide recommendations for the improvement of that area. The AG just said put a flyover. I'll have to check with the Minister of Finance if he has the budget for it. Regarding this, Mr. Speaker, the NRA board has recommended that the traffic study be made available to members of the public and discussions to determine what suits the needs and best interests of the road users in that area. Mr. Speaker, I think that this is the right and transparent approach. The East-West Arterial, as I mentioned, the NRA initiated a meeting with the DOE and agreed with DOE that the environmental impact was required under the NCC directive. After reviewed by the Environmental Assessment Board, chaired by the DOE, the EIA consultant has now been chosen and the contract has been approved by the procurement committee. The NRA is committed to the following the legal process, Mr. Speaker. The EIA consultant work should take 12 to 16 months. The EIA will be the driving mechanism and the mitigation of the concerning impacts of the environment, stormwater management, and construction ability. As I mentioned, public meetings will be held, and members of the public will have the opportunity to submit comments in writing to DOE at the relevant time as required by the NCC directive. In addition, Mr. Speaker, some though is being given to perhaps increasing the usage of solar panels along the roads, which should help reduce approximately $1 million per year of the government pays electricity bill for street lights. These are exciting times, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I wrap up today, just to highlight that we are making the following improvements in connections with the revitalization of Georgetown. Under the supervision of the town manager, Mr. Colin Lumsden, we are enhancing the infrastructure and the new landscaping, and mature trees have already been planted throughout the project area to create an additional shading, including 2 60-year-old silver thatch palm trees. No, I don't know how they figure out the year of them, but that's what I've been told, sir. They're 60 years old. Mr. Speaker, another project that previous governments have only talked about and shook their finger at. What is the Park government doing? Getting it done. The Scranton Park, the first phase of the works, which included the fencing, the rock and reinforcement site fill, and the rough gardening have been completed. We have agreed with my good friend, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, that the Ministry of Tourism will proceed with the final phase of the development. Mr. Speaker, my ministry is also collaborating with the Ministry of Sustainability to provide Wi-Fi access and charging benches throughout the Georgetown area. These benches will be the first of its kind in the community and will be further enhance our public space, providing a free Wi-Fi and phone charging to anyone who connects by providing these benches. By providing these benches, we will be offering residents access to information and services to those who may not otherwise have access. This will also be valuable to the visitors of these islands who may need to connect conveniently or quickly to get in touch with their loved ones at home. Mr. Speaker, my ministry and the PAC team have been very intentional, or have been very busy. What we want to achieve in the interest of the people and achieve the outcomes. As you can see, we have made steady progress over the past year and a half in that regard. I want to again thank every single member of the staff of the ministry for all your contribution to the building and development of these islands, and for the people giving us the opportunity to serve them. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the opportunity to provide this update on some of the many initiatives. For thanking them. Mr. Speaker, like others who I have met during my time, I just want to see our people succeed. This will happen, Mr. Speaker, when we all work together. Mr. Speaker, I have one last topic to touch on. I kind of touched on it early this morning, but I felt it was necessary to touch on it here. today. If you allow me to just go on this one last. Mr. Speaker, Friday afternoon, the opposition had a press briefing, and the member from Redway said that he had talks with me about joining the opposition. Mr. Speaker, this is so far from the truth that it's past the boundaries of reality. Mr. Speaker, the member from Redway has told the people of these islands an untruthful statement that I, J. Bynes, contacted him about joining. The member from Redway must be getting dementia, sir. If I wanted to join the opposition, it wouldn't be the member of Redway I would have contacted. The member for Redway is only a puppet on a string, the shadow of the person that is really in charge. We know who the real kingmaker is. The Honorable Kirk Tibbetts is the real kingmaker of the group. So I don't want the members of Redway to think that if I would go to him to have any discussions. Mr. Speaker, the leader of opposition, the leader of opposition had the nerves to call this honorable house a kangaroo parliament. Mr. Speaker, well, now that the kangaroos are not in attendance, let us move on to the government business, sir. Since it was the kangaroo department when they were here. Thank you so much.
I want to take this opportunity to thank you for the things accomplished in the District of West Bay as a whole, but in particular for my constituency, and in particular the traffic management matters on the Northwest Point Road when you mentioned, which bounds and goes into Watercourse Road. Not yet completed, but a lot of work has been done. And also on the Northwest Point Road, of the traffic calming and management in the area of the Wesleyan Church and the school, the Wesleyan Church and school, the entrances to those places, and the new entrance of the Grace Christian Academy, all on the Northwest Point Road, and very much a very heavy traffic area. It doesn't look like people are taking an understanding and are driving like crazy, and our roads are not built for that. And those two areas in particular are very much, in recent times, with much traffic, since there's so much development on that part of Grand Cayman and that part of West Bay. While you were talking about the flooding areas and stormwater management, I want you to please remember the area of Schoonaleen in Bosun Bay, which you visited with me. That's an area that has some severe flooding at times, simply because over on Hill Road, the water drains off into that area from Inferno all across to north of Inferno, that is all across the well-built area now with many homes of Schoonaleen. And so I would ask that you please remember that. I hope to be on the floor soon where I can put my voice to certain things too. I think every now is an opportune time. I think we should take the evening break for 15 minutes. So we shall suspend proceedings until 3:15.